Hello and welcome to Comics with Friends, the bi-weekly podcast where two best buds get together, read comics, talk about what they love, what they didn't like, and tell a few funny jokes. I am your host, Ethan, joined by my co-host and best bud, Mason.
Hello.
What's up?
Is that your attempt at like an AI voice?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing all right. I was up a little late last night watching Superman and Lois
Oh,
for
yeah?
the first time.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah. I didn't know if you had seen it or not.
Nope.
But I'm just about to finish up the first season, and that show was pretty fucking good for out of all the CW
Oh, yeah.
like shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say right now that one's sitting at the top, and then probably early Flash and then early Arrow are probably the top.
Yeah.
Which is really sad that I have to say early Flash, early Arrow, because the later seasons for those are...
Those later seasons are rough.
Yeah, they are.
That whole like universe to me is just kind of rough.
Yeah, they had something in the beginning, and then they kind of dropped the ball. But so far, Superman Lois really solid.
Yeah. I can say confidently. Now, I haven't watched not the new season that's coming out, the final season, but I haven't seen the last season. I can say that from what I've heard and from what I've watched, it keeps its quality throughout.
So, is the last season season 4 or season 3?
Like season 4, I think, is the final season.
Okay, so HBO only has 3 seasons, I think. So
yeah, because it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But we're not here to talk about Superman Low.
No.
We're here to talk about this. How do I put this kind of nicely? This underwhelming origin story for Flash. We talked for like a second before we hit record. This is definitely the weakest origin that we've read for DC. And yeah. I thought Wonder Woman was going to be the weakest.
Yeah. So obviously, if you can't tell by the title of the video, we are covering Flash Year 1, written by Joshua Williamson and drawn by Howard Porter. And I believe the colors are done by Hi-Fi. This kind of takes place, I believe, in the DC Rebirth era of stuff back in like 2016-ish. This is very much like Green Lantern Secret Origins, where it's just kind of in the middle of a run. Because this takes place through issues like 70 to 76 or something like that. And
Interesting.
It immediately leads into like a story arc called The Death of the Speed Force. Like it's supposed to be like a huge Flash event.
Yeah. One thing I mean, maybe it's poetic, but the whole story I felt was just super quick.
Yeah.
Like, which it's the Flash. So like you can almost say that makes sense, but like from start to finish, just everything happened so fucking quickly.
Yeah, I definitely think DC kind of abuses the word or the title sequence Year 1 kind of heavily with some of their origin stories, because you read some of these Year 1 stories and they don't feel like they take place over the course of the year. It feels like they take place over the course of like a week or 2 weeks, or it all just happens at once. I mean, you could say the same thing about Wonder Woman Year 1.
I mean, but the thing with the Flash is it seems like even the story's so quick, but the events that happen, it feels like, at least to me, it felt like it happened over the course of more than a year. Like the events that they were telling. I mean, granted, they don't give you any like dates or specific times or anything like that, but
which I feel like kind of is a detriment. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people try to copy the Batman Year 1 formula, and it just doesn't really work. I think that's why I'm more of a fan of like the Secret Origins stuff, where you don't have to, you're not confined to a 1 year time span.
Yeah.
You're just following this hero, discovering who they are, and then becoming the hero.
I just felt bad because like it's not a bad story. Like I said, it's underwhelming.
Yeah. Like I've heard people say Joshua Williamson's run on Flash is really good.
And this is my first exposure to Flash, so that's why I feel kind of bad that like my first taste of Flash is a bit underwhelming. And it's just like I was telling you, I don't have a whole lot to say on this story. I mean,
right.
I like with how short it was and everything.
Yeah.
My notes aren't pulling up.
It is funny that, you know, you say it's short, but like when you look at it logistically, it is technically longer than a story like Batman Year One.
Yes.
By like a couple issues. But I think because of the way Batman reads and the way that it's written, Batman feels like a longer story.
Well, the pacing was better in Batman.
Yeah.
The pacing in this it was like
lightning quick.
one thing after another, and it's just like I have no real time with the characters at all before events are happening and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like it was happening super quick.
Yeah.
I have to use my phone because my laptop's black screening on me.
So I guess I can say a little bit of history about Flash, because you know you mentioned you don't really know the Flash all that well.
Yeah, I know.
You watched the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah, let me give you the rundown of what I know of the Flash, kind of my general knowledge. I know his big kind of corner on the market is a lot of time travel.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff with that.
Multiverse,
parallel universes, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, a lot of his villains, his rogues gallery has to deal with like speed stuff, and I mean you have like Captain Cold and
Captain Boomerang.
What's it? Mirror Master.
Yeah, Mirror Master. Yeah,
a lot less like physical.
Yeah,
villains.
I think really his only physical villain is Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah, like his villains are more, I guess you could say, like mental, because how do you really fight against someone who can move that quick?
Yeah,
like you can't really physically fight someone necessarily that quick.
Yeah,
unless you're like Superman or Black Adam or someone who can rival that speed.
Right.
So like a lot of his villains are more kind of mental trickery kind of thing. And then like I know there's like Wally and stuff like that, but that's all I really know about Flash.
Yeah. So obviously Barry Allen is kind of synonymous with the Flash identity. There have been and there are currently multiple Flashes. The Flash that you and I grew up with in the early 2000s from the Justice League animated cartoon show, that is not Barry Allen.
Yeah.
That's Wally West. Because at that time, Barry Allen was dead. And so there was an embargo on his character, same with Hal Jordan, where because the characters were dead in the comics, you could not use them in other media.
Hence why like we had Jon Stewart.
Correct.
Instead of Hal Jordan, stuff like that.
Obviously, that all changed because Jeff Johns got kind of in control of some big, storylines in DC. He did Flash Rebirth, brought Barry Allen back. Barry Allen had come back in Final Crisis, which is a Grant Morrison story, but then Jeff Johns really he came back he came in and made Barry the main Flash.
Right.
But that's kind of later on in his history. Barry's origin is kind of complex while simple at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like Hal Jordan in the sense of he is inspired by another character named the Flash. There was a Flash named Jay Garrick. He's the one with the Mercury hat.
Yeah. I do know that.
Yeah.
Because he does show up in that CW Flash.
Yes.
I will say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like with the Flash's origin story, from kind of my collective knowledge of the character, I feel like maybe back in the day, when he got his powers, it was like, yes, it was just lightning that struck him, and that's how he got his speed. And then later down the line, they're like, we gotta spice this up and explain why he's so involved with multiverses and stuff. So the lightning was actually the Speed Force that chose him.
100%. That was his origin, where Barry Allen got struck by a lightning bolt and was doused in chemicals, and the mixture of the lightning bolt and the chemicals gave him his power.
Yeah.
He eventually took on the identity of the Flash, which was his favorite comic book character from his childhood. And, that's kind of been his character ever since. They have now reestablished that that lightning bolt is the Speed Force, and it chose him. And they've kind of retconned that, like, the Speed Force is like an intrinsic force of the universe. And there always has to be a speedster that, is tied to it. And they've even gone so far to say that, like, characters like Wally and Barry are the Speed Force. And and in all honesty, Wally was the progenitor of the Speed Force during Mark Waid's run in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that was where it was introduced, essentially. So that's kind of how the lightning bolt has transformed a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, there's like...
I just feel like back in the day, it was simple enough to be like, yeah, he was just struck by lightning and chemicals.
Yeah, when he was originally created, he was just created because people found Jay Garrick boring. Yeah. Just like Alan Scott, they were like, fuck it, make a new character, make him not an old dude.
Yeah. You know what the thing is, though? I feel like what probably would have benefited this origin story was which is sad to say because it's such a big factor of the character, is if they had left the time travel out.
Yeah.
If they had just, because when you think origin, you think of how they are starting out. Like, I guess they could have kept, we're kind of jumping ahead before we really get into it, but they could have kept him accidentally going through time. Yeah. The first time he fully let loose running. Mm-hmm. Totally get that, because it's an accident. You know what I mean? But they could have made it like a quick, like, oh shit, something's happening. So he's got, like, they could have made it to where he fucking accidentally goes back in time to the prehistoric age. And then,
he has to race against dinosaurs.
Well, he fucking freaks out, because understandable, and then is running to, like, escape, just like, what the fuck is going on? And then he accidentally travels back to modern time. Just that small blip of, like, Flash time travel. Yeah. Because I feel like with them doing all the time travel stuff in this origin, just kind of cut away from having time to, like, really spend time with the characters.
Yeah, I can understand that. I agree, but I feel like they still could have done something to represent that. Because here's also another fact about Barry Allen Flash. Barry Allen is kind of where they introduced the concept of the multiverse, because there's an old story back around when Barry Allen was first introduced called The Flash of Two Worlds, where he runs so fast that he ends up in the Earth 2 universe, which is the comic book universe, where it's like Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, the JSA.
Right, yeah.
The old 50s characters, golden age characters. And I feel like they could have done this story, instead of doing time travel, they just do that Flash of Two Worlds, where he ends up in the other Earth, which to me also feels like that's kind of what Joshua Williamson wanted to do, because the main villain in this is not a Barry Allen villain originally. He's a Jay Garrick villain. He's the first villain Jay Garrick Flash ever fights.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To be fair, even when he goes in the future and he sees future Flash, he's like an old man, kind of like Jay Garrick, and I don't know. I also, we can get more into it once we start going through the book, but I got flashbacks, PTSD flashbacks to Superman's Secret Origins when he goes to the future. I kind of was like, obviously there's more of a point because it's the Flash. Right. But I was like, I just was like, I feel like I've been here before. Yeah. Like that's one of the things I have in my notes. I was like, this is the second comic origin story for DC of the Justice League that the hero goes to the future to learn that they become a hero and what kind of hero you want to be.
And it doesn't really.
I
feel like it doesn't work in this because I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't work for this, but like it works for a character like Superman, who is he is the first superhero. You know, he's the greatest superhero. You know, that kind of deal.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where we differ because when we read that, you were fine and liked that part. I didn't like that part at all, I guess that's where our opinions differ. Because to me, maybe it's because my brain, because I'll bring him up for the millionth time. Spider-Man. That's my first exposure to superheroes in general, and with his origin and stuff, you know, it's very much, you know, he gets his powers and then he starts to slowly learn the responsibilities and everything that comes with it and stuff. With some of these DC origin stories, or at least these books that we've read, I feel like there's no, it's like they get their powers and then they're like almost the best version of themselves. Like there's no,
I can understand
no learning curve. And if there is a quote unquote learning curve in the book, it's like 2 pages worth.
I feel like the only character we really got that with, and I'm not just saying it because he's my favorite superhero, I feel like the only character we've really gotten that with is Hal Jordan, where he does not really know how to use the ring.
Yeah, I would give that to him.
And he, you know, he's very hard-headed in the sense of like people keep telling him, hey, you can't affect the color yellow, and yet he still tries to.
Yeah. I'd give you that. Maybe Batman a little bit too.
But he's easy because he doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It just I've liked these books of the DC origins and stuff. Like I haven't hated any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky I've not pulled out any of the absolute shit tier books yet.
I just as far as these origin stories for DC, I'm feeling a bit lackluster on them. You know, because like they're the head honchos. They are the staple of DC and stuff like that.
Right.
So obviously, I don't really know how DC operates. You know more than I do, but you would think there'd be more love and care into their staples than, you know. But to be fair, I haven't.
Let me ask you. Does it have Batman in it? No? Fuck it. I don't care. Well, that's what DC's motto is.
To be fair, like Marvel, they aren't the greatest either. Like I'm not going to sit here and defend Marvel either. I mean,
no, but they do a better job.
I think they do a slightly better job. Though let's be honest, they've definitely made some horrible decisions for characters.
100%, especially when they let the movies dictate like what's going on.
That's one of my biggest gripes about the MCU is separate. MCU is pretty damn good. At least up till Endgame. We'll let other people debate after Endgame what the situation is like. But when that whole thing was going on, you could see the direct influence from those movies onto the comics and the MCU. Yeah. Which is kind of some bullshit because it's like the comics have been their own thing long before the MCU, but because the MCU they brought in fucking truckloads of money.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I could envision that amount of money in my brain. Like, you know what I mean?
But I mean, you're right, because you can see in the marketing now where now that they have the X-Men rights and now that they're gearing up to introduce the X-Men into the MCU. Yeah. All the comic events, or not comic events, but a lot of the comic storylines that are going on involve X-Men. I mean, shit, we've gotten more X-Men advertisement for Marvel Comics in this single year than we have in the last 10. Which is insane because they had that whole Krakoa era. Yeah. And now they're doing From the Ashes, which is their new initiative. And there's 7 to 10 new X-Men books coming out in the next couple months.
Also,
that's wild.
like with Wolverine and Deadpool coming out, which I have not seen yet.
Nicole and I saw it. It was very good.
That's what I've been hearing. Like I have seen so many advertisements for Deadpool comics, Wolverine comics, like X-Men. Like I've seen so much more like advertisements because that movie's out right now.
Yep.
And I'm like, before I had never ever like can recall seeing a Deadpool ad for anything until this movie came out. I think maybe the last time I did was like I might have came across one for Deadpool 2 Deadpool 2 when it came out, you know. And I don't know. It's just I don't like the fact that the MCU has influenced the comics so much. I mean, just for an example, not that it's necessarily a problem, but just to show the influence that the movies have had on the characters is like Nick Fury. Playing for the longest time was just a white man, pretty generic, you know. So I can understand changing them, but it never would have changed if it wasn't for the movies and Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury.
Right.
If it wasn't for that, Nick Fury probably would still be just a generic military white guy.
Right.
You know. So
I can almost guarantee you now that if James Gunn's DCU takes off and is a smash hit just like the MCU,
it'll do the same
it'll
thing.
do the exact same thing.
Probably.
Where we will get books of the characters who are in the movies and nothing else.
I'm going to be honest with you. As the only DC right now thing that I am enjoying that I hope they don't fuck with James Gunn's taking over of the DCU is Robert Pattinson's Batman.
As far as I know, that is not like that was kind of Matt Reeves' like one stipulation is that he did not want his universe to be in a shared universe. He didn't want to have to worry about like superheroes and stuff because he wanted a more grounded, realistic Batman. Granted, I have my own gripes about that comment because there is no such thing as a grounded, realistic Batman because he's a guy that dresses up as a bat.
Right.
So,
it's probably as grounded as it can be.
that's kind of why I don't like the Nolan trilogy either. But that's a conversation for another day. Like we kind of got off on a tangent there about movies. I don't know if we'll keep that in there, but I'll definitely save it for maybe like a.
We'll see how long it takes to cover the book.
Yeah.
How about that?
So we should probably get into the book now.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
Yeah, Flash Year One. It starts us off with this really. Let me just say, this art is really good.
It's
like
the strongest selling point.
It starts off with this kind of like not 9-panel grid that you would see from Watchmen, but it definitely evokes the idea of a grid you would see in a comic book, but you're actually looking through a window.
I was gonna say that I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like the window of
his it is, but it very much invokes like the Watchmen like grid style. And that is also represented in this flashback that we see where there's a lot of those Watchmen style grid layouts. And it's Barry in his attic as a child reading his mom's comic book collection. And she's trying to find him. You know, she's letting him know dinner's ready. And when she goes up there to find him, he is trying to just kind of be by himself, be alone. And she looks at him. She takes a good look at him. She notices the lights are off, and she checks his eye, and he has a black eye.
Yep.
And she's like, what did I tell you about getting into fights? And Barry is essentially like, I can't help it.
Yeah, he saw some other kid getting bullied.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be like the heroes that he reads the comics about all the time.
Yeah.
And stepped in.
Yeah.
Got a black eye. Don't know if he fucked them up or if they fucked him up, but
they probably fucked him up.
Probably. That's usually how it goes.
But his mother calls him hopeful, a hopeful person, and she tells him never to lose that. And then we cut immediately to present day, 15 years later. And Barry is at the scene of essentially like an execution, like a mob hit type deal. And he is a forensic scientist, forensic analyst. That is his profession. That is why you get some stories with him and Batman working together to solve cases quite often. So, and Barry's partner is kind of just giving him a hard time about it. I believe his partner's name is August.
Yeah.
And August has the belief of it was, I think he says that it was like a execution.
Yeah.
And then Barry analyzes it and he says like our victim was running.
Yeah, and he tells August like, hey, don't jump to conclusions. That's how mistakes happen, essentially.
Right. And, you know, they're shooting the shit, giving each other, you know, grief. And then that's when we are introduced to Iris West, who is essentially like Barry Allen's Lois Lane or Carol Ferris or, you know.
I wouldn't say like, I got so much Lois Lane from Iris West in this. Like, the strong-willed, the reporter, like just, I don't want to say copy and paste.
Well, I mean, it is.
But yeah, I feel like Iris has enough of her own personality to be different, but like just the foundations of her character are basically copy and paste of Lois Lane.
Now, I don't know if that's how Iris has always been in, you know, DC continuity, or if that's more of a recent change.
Well, if you don't know, I sure should know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I on good faith, I could probably say that's what she's always been like.
I'm going to be honest with you. You could bold-faced lie to me about something, and I would just be like, okay, yeah. You could be spreading all kinds of misinformation, and I wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah. So this story is punctuated with a lot of narration from Barry, talking about how ever since his mom died, his life has kind of been like on standstill.
Yeah.
Basically saying he's always been afraid of what comes next. He's afraid of taking action. He's afraid of moving forward. And Barry Allen is definitely someone who is caught in the past. He's stuck in the past.
Oh, I mean, that's the whole reason his profession is what it is.
Yes, because, you know, it's revealed that his mother was killed and his father was blamed for the crime. Yep. Now, if you want, I can go ahead and tell you who killed his mom.
Reverse Flash, isn't it?
It's Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that because I watched the CW show. Okay.
Yeah.
So
the Reverse Flash is the one that killed Flash's mom.
Yeah. And to kind of like double down on the sentiment of his where, you know, why he became like forensic scientist or analyst, and also why he says to August what he does. You know, he's like, you know, get all the facts, don't jump to conclusions, because that's how Barry feels about what happened with his parents.
Yeah.
That they just assumed his dad did it.
Right.
Didn't do the proper things of like gathering evidence and stuff, and just were like, he did it.
No due diligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. So Barry, he decides to pull some overtime. He's working in the office, trying to solve some cases, and that is when a storm starts to brew, and lightning cracks through the window, dousing him in chemicals and electricity.
Yep.
And I really like the way that this is represented in the art, because the lightning bolt is also the word crackle, which I like that. I know that might sound kind of cheesy, but I think it's kind of cool.
Artistically, it's definitely cool. My gripe with this is
very quick.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like there's 2 pages
of setup
of who Barry's character is, of his partner, of his daily life, and you get a small glimpse of Iris before he gets his powers.
Yeah.
It's 2 pages and then he has his powers.
Which is very different from like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Right.
And you could even argue Green Lantern, because while yes, he does get the ring at the end of issue 1, it takes a full issue to get to that point.
Yeah, where he's on purpose using the powers. But I will say I did like the next page from that full panel of him. I really like how that was done, where he's
flickering in and out.
He's flashing in and out of consciousness.
And it's punctuated by red, yellow, where like it's a red box with yellow text, then a yellow box with red. And it's really cool. Yeah.
I'm not looking at it, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think like red is like a pessimistic thought, and then yellow is more positive, or it's vice versa or something like that.
Red is the hopeful and inspirational thoughts, while the yellow is pessimistic.
And it just keeps going back and forth as he's flashing in and out of consciousness.
Yeah, so he gets rushed to the hospital, and he's in a coma for quite a while. I think they say that he's in a coma for about 3-4 months, something like that. And he wakes up. He's fully healed, basically.
Yeah.
And he tries to basically get out of bed. He trips. Stuff starts to fall, and he uses his super speed to catch it.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
And then it immediately jumps to him running everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see what you're saying now with like the pacing.
Yeah.
Where we don't see the minute interactions of him going through the hospital. Like, what the fuck is going on? He's immediately out of the hospital running around.
And then
he gets home.
And then he's just like, all right.
Yeah.
He's just like, cool.
Yeah, he gets back to his office. He gets dressed, and August is there, and he's like, "Holy shit, Barry! Like you were in a coma for 4 months.
Yeah,
what the fuck are you doing here? No one saw you come in.
You should be like a fucking the bride from Kill Bill, where you're just trying to like wiggle your fucking toes,
right?
Like, I don't know like you see what I'm saying, like. It just happens so quick. Like his discovery of his powers, his acceptance of his powers.
Yeah.
And then he just goes right back into his daily routine. Yeah. I'm like, wouldn't you be like losing your fucking shit? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he does say, like, because he mentions that, it's been a while. He has a lot of stuff to do, and he now has another case he needs to track, which is obviously how he got his powers. And we do see him kind of like talking about his powers, but he says like my body is a crime scene. I need to examine the evidence. He tries to do blood work, and he mentions like, oh, I have a increased metabolism, so I eat a lot more, that kind of stuff. And then he like practices running and different types of techniques, and you see him kind of going through the shoes. Yeah. Which I thought was cool.
I did like that as the kind of tracker for time.
Yeah. And, he's testing all kinds of different things out. He does like the classic, tornado thing that the Flash is known for doing.
And then I think he also practices phasing a little bit too, but he can't get that down.
He does. Yeah. He tries to phase through stuff, but it causes it to explode, whatever he's phasing.
Which I am glad I do have an answer for what happens if he fails to phase through something.
Yeah.
Because I always thought if he failed to phase through something, he was just dead.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, if he was, like, phasing through a wall and then he stops halfway, he's just, like, fucking dead in the wall.
No, but that can happen because Wally West has threatened to put somebody in a wall and then stop.
Maybe it's because it's the Flash.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's really it. It's just the Flash.
Like, maybe if it's not a Flash, like a Speedster, shit doesn't explode. You just die. I don't know. But I was like, I finally have, after all these years, I finally have a fucking answer.
So Barry then mentions that Wayne Tech had donated fireproof jackets to like the Central City Fire Department, and somehow he gets access to those.
He just steals them.
He just steals them, and he makes himself some shoes that are resistant to the friction that he creates while running.
And then almost immediately is when he
fucks up.
Yeah, he fucks up.
Yeah.
He starts running really fucking fast.
Yeah. I do like that he kind of takes a moment to like unwind. He even says like, this is like kind of where I feel comfortable, and he thinks running is fun. Yeah. He finds all of it fun. and he's going so fast, and you hear like a crack of thunder, and he's like, oh God, I'm going too fast. And he tries to stop himself. He rolls around, and when he looks up, he's in a destroyed Central City.
Yep.
And I almost called it Coast City.
Yeah.
He's in a destroyed Central City that is being ruled by the followers of King Turtle.
Yeah.
Turtle.
Yertle the turtle.
Yeah. Turtle is a Flash villain, of course. Mm-hmm. He is the first villain that Jay Garrick ever fought.
Yeah.
In the comics.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I meant by saying, like, it's weird that they did this as a time travel story and not a multiverse story.
I think I would have been more okay with a multiverse than the whole time loop thing that they do in this.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to make it to where, like, he travels through time or whatever and meets another older Flash, one, the cool, I guess, cameo of having Jay Garrick be the Flash he meets, and two, also, it just complicates things by doing this, like, time loop. Like, at least these days, because we'll bring up the MCU again, because the MCU is so widely affecting, especially, like, even general and casual audiences, I would say at least a lot of people understand how the multiverse works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it is kind of more common and prevalent now to the general masses than it ever has been.
Yeah.
So it would be easier to understand that than the whole, like, it's a time loop, don't create a paradox, all this other shit. And then also, like, because of that, it's like, okay, this older Flash that I meet is like, I can tell you this thing, but this critically important thing I can't tell you. I can tell you all this other stuff, but I can't tell you this one thing. And it's like, okay, that's just a cheap way to progress the plot.
Yeah. I can say there might be an explanation as to why they didn't do the multiverse thing, because now I'm thinking about it. This takes place during Rebirth. In Rebirth, the huge marketing was somebody stole from us. Somebody stole 5 years from the heroes.
They got blipped.
And essentially, and whoever stole the 5 years from us rearranged things to kind of fuck with us, to create the world in their own image. And that was Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen universe. At that time, the Legion of Superheroes, the future kids that you didn't like, and the JSA, the old characters from Earth 2, did not exist because Dr. Manhattan basically wiped them from existence. Because in that storyline, he notices that Superman is like the central cause of everything, and if there's no Superman, then
there's no problem.
Well, no, it's not that there's no problems. If there's no Superman, then this is a world of no hope, essentially. It's weird. And trust me, it sounds weird.
So he wants a world with no hope in it?
He's cynical because it's Dr. Manhattan.
I mean, I understand that, but still, like, just practically, he could see why hope is a good thing. Because if there was no hope, cavemen never would have fucking invented fire. You know what I mean? They would have just been like, well, this is the world we live in. I guess we're fucked.
That's a story we'll cover another time.
That makes zero fucking sense to me. I mean, I'm a pessimistic individual, but even to me, that makes zero fucking sense.
Yeah, that's definitely a story we'll cover another time. But that's the way chapter 1 ends, or issue 1 ends, with Barry meeting a future Barry. And, I mean, they get straight into it. Barry essentially gets thrusted into this future central city where the turtle has taken over, and he's starting to freak out and run away. And kind of like what you mentioned, where this older Flash gives him information, but also withholds stuff. Now, I don't know how, like, I don't know how much I should really tell you, obviously, because I don't want like story stuff to get spoiled for stories we're going to cover in the future.
Yeah.
But like, there's some pretty big things that he doesn't tell him. Like, you're going to die one day, saving the multiverse.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Well, the thing is because this time loop and the way this comic plays out, you could say that the Flash never did die to save the multiverse because his whole time loop has been. I mean, I guess we're jumping real far ahead to have this conversation. The whole time loop happens within this year, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That Barry becomes the Flash.
Yeah.
Because literally the future turtle invades the past, and that's the beginning of the future that Barry saw. Like,
it's weird.
It's fucking. I don't know why they chose this avenue. Emphasize his whole time travel multiverse aspect of the character. Why you would try and do something as complicated as a time loop with paradoxes?
Yeah, for an origin story.
Yeah, for an origin story. Like, because origin stories is where you're going to get your most on-ramp for new readers, typically. Yeah. So why would you make it complicated? Because to me, a good origin story, while it has depth, is not super complicated.
Yeah, in its overarching plot.
Yeah.
What you want to do with an origin story is keep the overarching plot simple, but keep the character development intimate.
The characters bring the depth to an origin story, not the overarching plot.
Yes, because what you care about isn't how they get their powers. What you care about is learning who they are as a person, and then when you get that next adventure, you're like, oh shit, I want to see how he deals with this.
And you learn their kind of ideology and their kind of like how they view the world. Right. So when you go, like you said, go into those future adventures, it's like, okay, how...
Like, I know who this character is now. How is he going to deal with this?
Because, like, if you never really understood Batman as a no-kill rule hero, you wouldn't have that same pressure or drama when he's faced in a situation with, like, the Joker, where he's like, if you don't kill this individual, I'm going to nuke the city.
Right.
You know, you're not going to have that drama because you don't understand that character and their ideologies and their mindset and stuff.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I think this in particular is a weak origin story. Because even Wonder Woman, we had that development with the character.
Yeah. I still would say the Wonder Woman story wasn't as strong as
for sure
the other ones. But like the Batman, Superman, Green Lantern one,
those were solid.
You really get to know who those characters are by the end of the story.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Future Flash explains to our Flash, our present day Flash, who the Turtle is. Essentially explaining he's somebody who absorbs speed from other people, and that in turn absorbs like people's life forces.
Yeah, because it's like he's like absorbing their time.
Yeah,
essentially, he's aging them and stealing their life. Essentially,
yeah. And so Barry and future Barry, they tear ass through Central City. They find the cosmic treadmill. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you read that and went, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
Excuse me. I pretty much put two and two together. It's a treadmill. Cosmic equals time travel.
Kinda, yeah. That's what it is.
That's essentially
it's
so he can run as fast as possible, so he can travel through time.
That's essentially what it is. Yes.
Yeah. No. I may only have 3 brain cells, but they were able to do 1 + 1 = 2. In that situation.
Yeah. They find the cosmic treadmill, which I don't know how that hasn't already been like destroyed or confiscated or something.
It was. He had to put it together.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they ran into basically this section where they were keeping like a bunch of hero stuff.
Yeah.
And there is a kind of interesting panel where you see all the heroes who have tried to take back Coast City, and you see like Aquaman's trident, Dr. Fate's mask. You see Wonder Woman's shield. It's like damn, the Turtle really...
Coast City?
No, Central City.
You said Coast.
Did I say Coast?
Yeah, that's
sorry.
I got confused for a second.
Sorry, Flash and Green Lantern have their city
fine.
names are both C's. Yeah,
CC's.
it's not like Gotham and Metropolis.
Yeah. No, you just confused me for a second.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, no, it is Central City. So Future Flash rebuilds the treadmill and basically tells present day Flash, like, get the fuck out of here, run, as he's starting to get surrounded by the Turtle Goons.
Yeah.
And Barry ends up back in
Yeah.
the present time.
Yeah, he basically, the old Flash, he's just like, run, Barry, run, which is I'd say a pretty big like theme for Flash, I feel like, where Flash just runs from his problems and solves them at the same time.
Every good Flash story ends with him running. Yeah. Like, that's just, I guess that's the moral of the story.
I wish I could run from my problems and just fix them at the same time.
Yeah. So he gets back to the present day, and he is a nervous wreck. I think he's essentially like, oh, I'm done trying to do this like running thing. I just want to be a normal person. I don't want these powers. I just want them gone. And he's starting to freak out, and you can see that. And it's really nice in the artwork where he kind of has this like vibration on his body because he's trying to hold the speed back.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a nervous wreck. And then as soon as he sees Iris, because prior to, him going into the future, they had actually promised to go on like a coffee date.
Yeah.
Get coffee together. And the moment he sees her, he kind of mellows out. He goes back to normal.
And then cop car just whips right in front of him as he's about, and when he sees her, he's also trying to like come up with excuses why he's late.
Yeah.
And then as he's about to cross a street, cop car just whips in front of him, heading to a scene of a crime.
Yeah.
And that's when Barry kind of goes like, I can't just ignore these powers.
Yeah, because the cop car, the scene that it's running to is the turtle.
Yeah.
The present day turtle.
Yep.
Fighting and trying to rob a bank. And, he slows bullets down. He's, picking the cops off one at a time. And like you said, that's where Barry's like, I can't really ignore these powers anymore. And for some reason, Iris from the coffee shop sees the gunfire and explosions happening, and her first instinct is, I need to run into it.
Well, to be fair, it's the Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to be fair, Lois Lane kind of understands that Superman's probably going to save her.
Yeah.
And it's Superman. But to Iris...
I would not do the same thing with Flash.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
To Iris's credit, she's going in there with no like idea of a fail-safe
She can't
or
just
backup
say
plan.
She can't just say Superman help.
Yeah, she can't just whisper Superman and Superman just magically appear. That's one thing with the tangent, the Superman and Lois show. That like part of me is kind of like, man, this is happening a lot. Is just either Lois or their kids will just be like, Dad or Clark, and he's just there. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, at some point, that's gotta annoy the fuck out of Superman. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, like, he's
like, Jesus Christ.
You would think at some point you'd be like, all right, Lois, you need to start carrying a Glock with you.
Yeah, bro. How about you stop trying to like interrogate Lex Luthor, or try to talk to Metallo or any of my other rogues? How about you stop fucking with them? Like, I'm a member of the fucking Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, I have other things I got to do.
I was on fucking Mars, okay? And you just expected me to be back here in a second.
I mean, I was, but like,
Still.
what if next time I'm not?
Yeah.
Which there will never be that time, but whatever.
I don't know. It was funny to me thinking about that. But yeah, so Iris fucking charges into the whole gunfire. And
of course, Barry saves her.
Yeah.
And, that's where he dons his first. Now, there is a really cool thing that I didn't notice until I looked at the concept art for this book, where he's already in his like proto Flash outfit. And if you look in each chapter, the suit gets more and more detailed.
Yeah.
Until the final issue, obviously.
Yeah. I did notice that.
I thought that was cool.
At first, it's literally like gloves,
Plain red shirt,
like track pants, and the fire resistant shoes boots or whatever.
So Flash goes in to fight Turtle, and he instantly learns that Turtle has the ability to negate his Speed Force. Obviously, Barry does not know it's the Speed Force yet. He just...
You would think, considering he went to the future and saw the Turtle and stuff like that and what he could do, that his just full-on charge against Turtle wouldn't work.
Yeah, maybe. But Turtle throws him into a brick wall. Barry starts to vibrate through it, and then it explodes because obviously he hasn't mastered the whole vibrating thing yet.
Yep.
And from the looks of it, or the way that Barry responds to it is, it seems like the vibrational like wave that comes out from him exploding the wall negates Turtle's ability as well. And so Turtle is able to get kind of pinned down and knocked out by this flying debris.
Yeah.
And, Barry notices that people will get hurt if those bricks hit anyone. And so, of course, he uses his super speed, catches all the bricks, and makes sure that no one gets hit. Mm-hmm. The Turtle starts to get up, and then the cops fucking tase his ass. They fucking...
It was like an episode of Cops. Just fucking...
Bad boys.
Bad boys. What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah. And essentially everyone's looking around like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Because to them, time like stopped.
Yeah.
And then when they blinked, Turtle was doing the Yamcha pose on the ground.
The Yamcha pose.
Yeah. Or like the pose that Peter Griffin makes when he falls down the stair.
Or isn't there like a famous like Krillin in the crater?
That's the Yamcha thing.
Is it?
That's the Yamcha pose. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I was misremembering. Sorry, Krillin. Didn't mean to disrespect you like that.
So Barry ends up... by the way, he does have a black eye.
Yeah.
I don't know how he explains that away, but he changes back into his normal outfit, meets back up with Iris, and then they, instead of having a coffee date, they have dinner together, and then we kind of get a very quick montage of Barry going on dates with Iris, saving people, doing his stuff with August, going on more dates, going to the bar with August.
Again, like, I really wish we got more time with Iris and Barry to really learn their relationship.
Yeah.
From going from, like, friends interested in each other to, being in a relationship and everything like that. Like, that I would have enjoyed that origin story. Now, again, that's subjective because that's what I would have liked.
Yeah.
But I would have liked seeing him handle the small crime stuff in more detail while also juggling his relationship with Iris and his partner, August. Like how to explain some of the things and stuff.
I agree. I definitely think Turtle was not the right villain to use for this.
I don't think so either.
I feel like it should have just been like Captain Cold.
Yeah.
Which is...
Or even Mirror Master, to be honest with
like
you.
just a more simple, down-to-earth villain.
Yeah.
Because a big part of Flash is that he is a down-to-earth character for someone who does multiverse shit, who, when you really think about it, he's like a street-level character in a way. Most of his villains are just normal people with like technology-based stuff. With, like, obviously you have characters like Reverse Flash, Godspeed, Gorilla Grodd, those characters.
Yeah, but those are your more...
Yeah, those are upper echelon characters. Like, and obviously he's not going to deal with like Justice League threats. Like, he's not fighting Darkseid on a regular basis.
I don't know. That's why I was saying I think the whole time travel thing.
Yeah, just kind of takes away from the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the montage, and you do see that he is stopping crime in the middle of all these, personal events. And he's also upgrading his suit slowly, which, again, I still think that is a cool concept. and he also talks about how he starts to leave behind his signature,
the
the lightning bolt, because he is inspired by that lightning bolt to be a superhero essentially, and he wants to show his gratefulness and him honoring the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course I'll come back after everyone's gone and I'll clean it myself, but for that moment, for that day, it's there and people know.
Yeah.
And I do also like that the people give him the name Flash.
Yes.
I've always found that super awesome. I love when the city, the people give the name to the hero. It feels more like personal.
Yeah, it gives them, it definitely makes it feel like they have a more connection to the
people.
Well, yeah, to the people in the city that's like their designated work zone.
Yeah,
right. But if I'm not wrong, because I don't have this in my notes, but I'm pretty sure, isn't Iris kind of like, we need more than just like this mythological red blur and stuff in this city?
Yeah, she is not 100% on the Flash train right now.
Very Lois,
yeah.
Very Lois.
Yeah,
because Lois was the same with Superman.
So Iris ends up going to Barry's apartment because they're gonna have a date, and she gets into his place. He's cleaning up because he's like a frat dude. His apartment's all kinds of fucking disgusting and dirty. And she gets in and she's like, "Oh, you're a fucking nerd," because she sees his comic book collection and his action figure collection.
And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, he has an action figure. Yeah, I feel really attacked right now. He has an action figure of Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
So this is just telling me like Batman got some real marketing in Gotham, I guess.
I fucking guess. I mean, Superman I can understand.
Yeah.
Because it's Superman.
Yeah.
Batman?
This is potentially like maybe year 2 of Batman being around. Maybe 3.
This is, because the figure has like his full-on suit.
Yeah. Like the black.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, to be fair, at the end of year 1, he had
the black and gray suit.
Black and gray suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, man, the amount of glazing Barry probably did when he got on the Justice League.
Yeah, for real. He's like, oh my God, you guys are my fucking idols.
Batman literally comatoses someone, and he's like, best hero.
Idol.
Great job, Batman. Great fucking job. You definitely just ended that man's life. He's never going to be able to work again.
I was going to say, you didn't end his life, but you did end his professional life. He's done.
He's going to end up homeless on the street because he can't work, so he can't afford to pay rent. His wife and kids are going to leave him. Like, you didn't kill him, but you
financially killed him.
Yeah. But great job. You're the best.
Yeah, so they're about to, go on their date. Iris gets a text. She's been following this case with this criminal. I believe it's Clive Yorkin. I don't remember who Clive Yorkin is specifically. I believe he might be an actual like Flash villain.
I don't know. But in this, at least, they just made him kind of like a common street kind of type.
So she gets a text about that case because Clive Yorkin murdered somebody and she got some new evidence or a lead on it. And so she leaves. Flash decides to go to his office because he has a lot of work that he needs to get done. Because he's been superheroing, he's kind of behind on his unsolved cases. And he starts figuring stuff out about the Clive Yorkin case. And then he goes back, or he goes to where essentially he thinks he's going to find the group and confront them himself. And that's when we're introduced to Snart. Mm-hmm. Snart is Captain Cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's kind of proto Captain Cold. They're talking about how, his crew, their family, all that kind of stuff, just, gang banter in a sense. And for some reason, Iris for some reason, these guys are just kind of walking on the side of on the street with like their duffel bags and like little Captain Cold glasses on, just in the open, talking about how they're going to rob, you know, this bank or something. And Iris approaches them with a iPhone in hand, pointing it in their faces, and asks, you know, Yorkin, like, did you kill that person?
Yeah.
Like, I don't fucking understand.
I just Googled Yorkin, and it said he is a villain, and he gets, I only glanced through it, so I don't know if this is accurate, but he ends up with the ability to absorb energy, because he goes through some kind of process while he's in jail for life, essentially. Mm-hmm. So he is a villain, that eventually gets powers, but, yeah, the fact that Iris just has the cojones I mean, she even recognizes it after the fact. She was like, yeah, that was fucking stupid of me to do that.
Yeah, I don't I don't understand her thought process
Again,
because Clive,
she's Lois without the Superman, and so she's just going to balls to the wall with no backup plan.
So Clive puts a hand on her because she's got this camera in his face, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. He grabs her, she kicks him in the nuts, and so he pulls a fucking gun.
Yeah.
And Snart is like, whoa. Like, chill, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And Yorkin's like, I don't care, but as he's saying it, it like gets slower and time starts to stop, and then Flash comes in and moves everyone out of the way because Yorkin, I guess, is just shooting at fucking everyone.
Yeah, he's like fucking crazy.
Yeah, he is unloading on everyone. And so Barry runs around, he moves all the bullets, and he's about to get to Iris, and he's like, you know, I'm not going to make it. And you see him running towards the bullet. He puts his hand on the bullet, and then he like snaps away. He ends up back at his apartment, and he collapses because the bullet hit him right in the chest, near his heart.
Yeah. He can, and I don't know if he's like vibrating or doing something to like keep the bullet slow, but he's like, I can feel it moving towards my heart.
Yeah, he says that he feels the bullet moving closer and closer, and if he doesn't do something, he's going to die.
Yeah.
And I guess in that time, Iris made it back to his apartment.
Yeah.
That was fucking quick.
Yeah, extremely quick. I mean, I guess she could have like ran, got it. And
maybe he passed out.
Maybe he passed out. I don't know. But yeah, he literally gets in the apartment and he's sitting there thinking to himself, like, I gotta fucking do something.
Yeah.
You know? And immediately Iris is banging on his fucking door, being like, Barry, are you home? Barry.
Yeah.
Even I guess it depends how close the criminal activities were, because she was at Barry's whenever she left.
She was at Barry's, but then he went to the police department to work on something, and then he went to the crime scene.
Yeah, that's true.
So unless he's like a hop and skip away from Crime Alley, like
I guess. I don't know, but yeah, she shows up, and I will say I really like the panel of them on both sides of the door.
And I do like the dialogue as well.
Yeah.
Where she is kind of just pouring her heart out to him and is also saying, like, I was an idiot. I did something I shouldn't have. And, like, I put people in, you know, in danger, but because of the Flash, like, you know, he saved us. And she kind of takes responsibility for her actions. And
the entire time, Barry's like, fuck!
Yeah.
My chest!
He vibrates his hand into his chest and pulls the bullet out.
Yeah, he's like, if I fuck up my phasing right now, like, I might explode myself.
Yeah. And, you know, Iris, she apologizes because she's like, she says, like, you know, I'm sorry I left our date. You know, I shouldn't have done that, but that's what I always do. I leave. Like, you know, she left Central City when she became an adult, and the only reason why she came back was because, you know, this place the city's dangerous, and she wanted to make a difference.
And she ends up thinking Barry's just like pissed.
Yeah.
And
either pissed or not
home.
Yeah.
So she like kind of gets disheartened, starts leaving, and then Barry opens the door, rocking up.
Yeah.
Like, no shirt, fucking. He's like, I just got out of the shower.
Yeah.
And Iris looked at him and was like, boy, I'm about to do some things to you.
Oh, yeah. How the fuck did he clean that blood up so quick?
I mean, he's the fucking Flash.
Man, can he scrub blood out of wood?
He's the Flash. I'm sure he can.
Damn.
He probably started a mini fire scrubbing so fucking fast.
He should get a fucking sponsorship from like OxyClean or Clorox. Yeah. Fuck. So yeah,
They bump uglies.
they're officially together.
Yeah.
They live together, I guess, at this point. And Barry decides to go to Iron Heights. Iron Heights is like Barry Allen's like Arkham.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I will say, before he heads over there, there's a moment where he's kind of like talking to himself or thinking to himself. Maybe it's after, but I'm going to bring it up regardless. He's like thinking about everything, and he's like, I will say one thing that I like that he says to himself is that he does feel like he's been running before he's learned to walk.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like that sentiment, because to me as the reader, that's kind of how it's been feeling since reading, like, because everything's happening so quick.
Right.
I'm like, he's just doing things.
Yeah.
Like, there's no build up, and that one line kind of eased that, like,
the
problem with the pacing for me.
Yeah.
But the problem's too much that it that one line's not gonna fucking
right
that wrong.
Yeah, because keep in mind, this whole story is, about how Flash is trying to stop that future from happening. Mm-hmm. And so we get one issue of Future Turtle, or like a panel or two of Future Turtle, where you get a few pages of present day Turtle. Yep. We learn his backstory, and then immediately we're met with Future Turtle again.
Yeah.
And he's the main villain, but it's in the last, like, second to last issue.
Yeah.
So it's very quick. I feel like that's kind of the issue with introducing, like, big villains in year one stories as well.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman kind of had this problem where, like, Ares was the main villain of that, and he showed up in the second to last panel, and that was it.
I don't think...
Not second to last panel, but second to last issue.
Oops. I don't think Ares had the problem of being the wrong villain. I just think the execution of Ares was not done well. I think there's a difference, because I think Turtle was a bad villain to use for this origin story. Because of how intrinsic Ares is to Wonder Woman, I think he's a good villain for her origin story. I just think he was executed improperly in that story. Yeah. Because, like we said in that episode, the build-up to, like, for everything was extreme. The first half of that Wonder Woman comic was very good.
Yeah.
It was very good. Yeah. It was just whoever was writing it, they probably realized, though, because I can't remember who wrote it, was probably like, well, shit, I only actually have like 1 or 2 issues left I can finish this story with, and had to just wrap it up. Because I think if that origin had a little more room to breathe, like a couple more issues, that would have been like really good.
Yeah.
But because a lot of these origin stories are only 4 to 5 issues, the first half is usually strong, and then the second half is a little bit quicker, a little bit rushed. Yeah. But this overall is just fucking start to finish. It's just fucking on all cylinders.
Yeah, I agree. So Barry goes to Iron Heights and requests a meeting with the Turtle, and the Turtle knows who he is. Yeah, he instantly knows because he can sense the Speed Force on him. Yeah, because they are technically like connected in a way. And that's when we get the Turtles
like backstory.
Backstory where he's very similar to Barry, where he got struck. He was a very intelligent kid. He has a beautiful wife, beautiful kids. He graduated, top of his class in college. Yep. He was a scientist, and he's working on experimental, stuff for the government, and it backfired, and he got struck by electricity, and it caused him to age rapidly. But he, through it, he learned that he could absorb people's speed,
Yep.
which, or like what you said, their life.
Yeah.
And,
Their time.
yeah. And to me, this is kind of like the weakest villain origin because, he says like his family supported him through all of it.
Yeah.
They loved him. His wife never left him. He got to see his children grow up and they supported him, and they got older. And then that's when he discovered he could absorb.
Yeah, he says that he got obsessed with learning how to control the force that he now had, the power that he had.
Yeah. And so he decides to just kill his family.
He's like the one thing that was holding me back was love, and he murders his family, and I'm like, what do you mean?
How do you jump to that conclusion?
Yeah, they literally, you would have been done, like out the gate from that accident if it wasn't for your family.
Yeah,
and they're holding you back. Well, to be fair, earlier in his little spiel of his story, he does say when he got married before the accident and everything, that it started to feel like he was lagging behind his peers and everything, and that's why he was so hell-bent on the work he was doing to try and prove himself, and then that's when the accident happened.
Yeah.
So I guess that explains a little bit about at least the obsession part.
Yeah.
And maybe why he felt like love was holding him back, because it happened after he got married, had kids and everything. But at this end of the day, like I said, your whole fucking life was done so after that accident if it wasn't for your family.
Yeah.
They're like he literally says, they supported me, they loved me, they helped me, and then his natural reaction is, you know what? You bitch is holding me back.
Yeah.
And then just murders them.
Yeah.
Make that make sense. It doesn't.
No, it
Yertle
doesn't.
the turtle is a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So Barry has that conversation with Turtle, and he's like, "You're a fucking psychopath," and he gets the fuck out of there. Especially because like the turtle starts to reveal that he knows a lot more about Barry Allen.
Yeah, and also the turtle's like, "You're just like me."
Yeah, we're
just like me.
Yeah, we're the same. And Barry gets the fuck out of there. He runs back to his lab, and he's trying to piece together like clues and information about the turtle to again stop this future from happening, which I don't know what doing that is going to accomplish really, but either way, Iris, she shows up.
Yeah.
She's asking Barry like, what are you doing? You look upset, you look frazzled,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And she's asking him like, this isn't like you. What happened at your interview with him? And because Barry's also trying to like connect the turtle to like his mother's death in a way.
Yeah.
And she asked him like, what's wrong? Like, what happened to you as a kid? And he starts to tell her about his mother's death, her murder, and I guess he's going to reveal that he's Flash.
Also kind of revealing that like the reason why he is who he is today is his obsession with his mother's case. Again, like we touched on earlier, that's one of the main, probably the reason why he's a forensic analyst and everything.
He's stuck in the past.
Yeah. And he kind of admits that too as well, that he's just been stuck in the past.
Yeah. So he's about to tell her about, everything he's been going through. And then that's when we see a big blast of green energy come through his office, and there's green lightning everywhere.
Yep.
And it is revealed that future Turtle used future Flash to operate the cosmic treadmill to come back in time and I guess jumpstart the future in a sense.
And this is the moment that I was talking about earlier, that like a lot of the things that you said that future Barry didn't tell the past Barry is because I don't think any of those things happened, because this is the moment that like you can see, oh, we're definitely in the time loop.
Yeah.
Because I think this is kind of that focal point of like, okay, now we're seeing the future that the future Flash was a part of. So I don't necessarily think the future Flash was omitting anything on a certain level. Like, he definitely was like, I'm not fucking telling you some shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like, I don't think any of the like other comics applied until Barry breaks the time loop.
I guess Future Flash does make a comment here towards the end where he talks about like how he knows who killed their mom. And
yeah, that's
Present
true.
Barry's like, if you know, you need to tell me. And he's like, I can't.
Well, okay. So maybe it's not even Barry that technically breaks the time loop.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the future Turtle.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because future Barry's like, I went through the same thing. I came here, you know, we're in a time loop. I came here when I was younger and there was an older. So it's like I hate time travel, dude.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of time travel either.
It is so hard to fucking do right. And unfortunately, I don't think it's done super well here, because once you start thinking critically on it, it kind of falls apart in this comic.
I'm not a huge fan of it either. It also like it goes back to the whole like, well, Barry doing this doesn't fix the timeline. It just creates another universe.
I don't
because it's like Flashpoint paradox.
It's too time travel. I've said it multiple times already. The time travel is far too complicated for an origin story.
Yeah.
It is too much of a complex idea to throw at possibly a new reader. Like I said, you start thinking about it critically for a moment, and that time loop thing that the Future Flash gives and everything, it just starts falling apart.
Yeah.
And it bothers me a little bit. Yeah. Just because I can't explain any of it. It all seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. So all this shit's going down. Iris, she wants to go help people. She wants to go to Iron Heights to, present day Turtle to see if she can figure out some shit. And Barry's like, you can't go. It's like fucking, you're like a person. Yeah. You can't go. And she gives this line of like, if you stand still to avoid crazy, the crazy will come to you, Barry. And he realizes that that's something that Future Flash said to him when he first went to the future. And he's like, Iris is right. Like, I can't just keep standing still. And he suits up.
And he goes at Turtle.
Yep, goes at Turtle.
I will like his little line, better late than never,
Yeah.
Like, kind of classic Flash one-liner.
Yeah. The Turtle instantly mops the fucking floor with him. So, Yeah. But the whole point of him wasn't to beat the Turtle. It was to get Future Flash out of there. So that way he didn't have access to the Speed Force. He gets him out of there. He has a conversation with Future Flash about how, I don't think, I don't think I can win this, essentially.
Yeah.
And Future Flash tells him about the shell, the thing that he's building, where it's basically going to cut Central City off from the rest of the world, and he's going to be able to enslave everyone that lives there and feed off of their speed, all that kind of stuff.
I know earlier that it kind of shows like the other heroes that have tried to defeat the Turtle. Mm-hmm. Superman wasn't like, they didn't have a relic of Superman, did they?
No.
Where's Superman?
Yeah, I know. You kind of have. That's the thing with these origin stories. You kind of just need to divorce these origin stories from the broader universe while also keeping in mind like these characters still exist as well.
Well, I would have done that if they didn't imply that the greater universe had tried to foil this plan and failed.
Yeah.
So my question is, where the fuck's Superman?
Superman's fucking Lois right now. That's what he's doing.
That's got to be the only explanation, is that he's balls deep. Because I'm sorry, but Superman would have handled the turtle.
Yeah.
Readily. So, I promise on everything, I don't hate this story. I enjoyed reading it.
It's like I told you when I first gave you the book. The story's fine.
It's just, it's got too many like
Problems.
plot holes.
Yeah, it's got problems.
Yeah.
So, Future Flash essentially tells him it's hopeless. And, we do get this really, really nice page of Flash looking out the window, seeing like all the shit going on, and he gets smaller and smaller.
I did really like that.
Yeah.
That page.
Where, he talks about how like, the mother or the night that his mother died, he just stood there and watched as the paramedics took her body.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's all he could do was watch. He was
Yeah.
powerless. And he's like, there's nothing I can do, or there's nothing that I could do but watch the future unfold before me. And, he repeats like, the future is here. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And then as he's at his lowest moment, Future Flash is like, whoa, you still have Mom's old comics?
Yeah.
He's like, I was wondering where I'd left these. And he starts to read them, and he tells present day Flash, I was afraid of you. I was afraid of what I was going to tell you, about all the good and the bad that had happened in our life. But, the only thing I really regret is not making time for others. Like, there's so much lost time, essentially.
Yeah.
Because his life is so crammed full, busy of, everything else. Yeah. And he, Barry's like, what are you talking about? And Future Flash is like, tell me about Iris.
Yeah.
He tells her about Iris, how like she grounds me, and all that kind of stuff of like, she's the one, she's, a one in a lifetime kind of person. She's always brave. She always takes risks. She tells me, she makes me a better person, essentially. Yeah. And, he essentially is like, she's the reason why I have to fight. She's the reason why I'm going to fight the turtle. And then he grabs a ring off of his desk, and he puts the ring on, and Future Flash tells him that you can't fight him. You need to run.
Yeah.
And Barry says that's not what heroes do.
And he also says, you told me I should listen to Mom's words more. Well, I'm gonna listen to her now and not you.
Yeah. And we do get an admittedly pretty cool suit up scene where he's running, and of course they do the classic Flash thing because he keeps his suit in the ring.
That panel, that full panel of him finally in the
Flash outfit.
Flash outfit, the iconic Flash suit, was really good.
Yeah.
Again, the art is definitely one of the strongest points.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The art is fantastic in this book.
Yeah, Howard Porter knocked it out of the ballpark with this comic. So we finally get the final confrontation between, both Barry Allen the Flash and both the future and present Turtle at Iron Heights. Or I don't think it's at Iron Heights. I think it's just on like a skyscraper or building. And he does what Barry does. He just runs.
Yeah.
He runs. He kicks ass a little bit. He uses the Speed Force to kind of like counteract their slow shit.
But with two of them, he starts getting his ass beat.
Yeah. And that's when we get the Spider-Man 2 or the Spider-Man 1, you mess with him, you mess with all of us. That kind of deal where all the New Yorkers are kind of around him and shit.
Yeah.
And they start throwing shit at Green Goblin.
Yeah. Or even Spider-Man 2 with
the train scene.
Yeah.
Where he's like, if you want to get to him, you got to go through all of us.
Rated R Spider-Man, it'd just be Doc Ock's tentacle just
piercing through all of them.
10 people.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Look, I'm a Spider-Man fan, and if I was on that train, I would have been like, like, I'm not involved.
Yeah, hey.
You got 4 giant mechanical...
His name's Peter Parker.
Like, I'm not here. I'm trying to get to work, dude.
Yeah, bro. I'm going to my shitty job. My shitty retail job.
Like you're have them.
Yeah, for real.
We'll get a new one.
Yeah. Or maybe this one will be black.
Yeah. We'll get a younger one, you know.
We'll get a female one.
A little more spry. This one's kind of washed up, you know.
Yeah. So they have their fight, and Barry is losing handedly. Like, he is just getting his ass fucked up.
Yeah.
And they're absorbing his speed force, and he starts to think about his mom, thinks about the things that she said to him, thinks about Iris, and he thinks about how he would move time and space for her. And yeah, that's a big part of his character, about how he'd do anything for her. And eventually he uses the power of like hope and love to like counteract.
Because one thing, what is it? One thing he says is something like, the other Flash ran from the fear. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna like fight the fear, like run straight at it or some shit like that.
Yeah, and he uses hope as like his weapon to break the Turtles'.
He's got
power.
the One Piece power of friendship.
Yeah. Now I will say hope is a big part of Barry's character.
Yeah, which is somewhat strange to me because like, from the outside looking in on the DC universe, it's like, you know, Superman is like I am hope.
Yeah, it's definitely Superman.
Yeah, you know, so like to me, to have Flash kind of also use that, I was like, it kind of cheapens it a little bit because you've already got this iconic character whose whole thing is hope.
Yeah.
You know, another member of Justice League.
Yeah.
To boot.
I think there's a reason why they use that as a theme for Barry, and it's because of Blackest Night. Just that's all I'll say.
We'll get into at some point.
I think that's the only reason why they use that as a theme for Barry now.
Interesting.
So yeah, he saves Iris. He beats the shit out of
dog walks on.
Yeah, he dog walks on the Turtle. Fucking erases future Turtle from the timeline and erases future Flash from the timeline.
And future Flash is like, good on you.
Yeah, he's like, thank God.
He kind of essentially, future Flash dies, and when he goes, he's like, essentially like, I believe in this version of Flash.
Yeah,
you know,
and he's running so fast, and then he slides into it, you know.
I'm pretty sure he's like, I ran so fast that I made a paradox and then went past the consequences of the paradox.
Yeah.
And he literally just outran his problems.
Yeah.
That's essentially all he did, was outrun the fucking problem.
That is how he solves everything. He just runs so fast that he just solves it.
He ran so fast that the problems were created and then just wiped away as if there was no problem.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
A+ in just running from shit. So King Turtle loses his powers. Iris is like, she's about to be like, I'm gonna put you down like a dog.
Yeah.
And Barry shows up, and his just normal Barry shows up, and he's like, no, it's okay, it's over, and he helps the Turtle up. Now I will say that is very in line with Barry and you know, obviously Flash characters. Flash characters are known for having a lot of respect and taking care of their villains. Because, you know, Batman believes that, you know, his villains can be rehabilitated.
Quote unquote. Even though he just shoves them into the broken Arkham Asylum system.
The fucking Lovecraftian horror that is a jail.
Yeah, they can be rehabilitated. Let's just throw them in this absolute mindfuck of a crazy house.
Throw Killer Croc in the sewers. But no, Flash actually is like, my villains can be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Like, I am not going to sit here and beat on them and then treat them like trash. I'm going to stop them, and then I'm going to use my personality to make them nicer people.
He's going to do the Naruto where we're enemies at first, and then I'm going to try and make you my friend.
Yeah, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. I will say a cool part of that comes from that, because so you know how every character has like a rogues gallery.
Yeah.
Well, Flash has a rogues gallery that's just called the Rogues,
Yeah.
and they have a rule. They
don't kill.
They don't kill Flash.
I literally saw a TikTok on this the other day that they just don't kill in general.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to piss off the Flash, basically.
Well, they also have a rule of they don't kill a Flash.
Yeah.
Because they understand that the Flash is not a bad person. He's just doing what he feels is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Which I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. And also, like, looking at it logically, because Captain Cold, he's essentially like the leader of the Rogues.
Yes.
And he's like, also tactically, just killing just makes your life more hard, like more difficult. Like, one, bigger prison sentence than just like B&E or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think I saw on this TikTok they were talking about the whole like where they don't kill or whatever. That's like kind of one of their rules. Mm-hmm. And they like brought on a rogue member or something like that, and he kills, and Captain Cold's like, "You're fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, you fucked up. We're not helping you. Like, we'll give you to the Flash."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So we now jump back to February.
Yeah.
Or we fast forward to February, which is the day that the Flash became the Flash, I guess. And it is Flash Day.
Yeah.
And it is a day where everyone, businesses closed down. It's like a national holiday for
They have
them.
like a parade.
Yep. Which is very in line for Flash.
Yeah.
That's,
I will say, I think the Flash probably had, maybe besides Superman, has like one of the most universally, like, the city loves him.
I would say Green Lantern as well, post Green Lantern Rebirth.
Okay.
So there's reasons for that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Barry is, going about his life like normal. And he's just kind of thinking about everything that he's done. He says he's still haunted by his mother's death, and and he will never stop trying to prove his father's innocence.
Yeah.
But he now knows how to move forward, like not to keep standing still, to take that step forward and move on with his life in more ways than one. Iris introduces
Wally
Barry to Wally and Wallace.
Yeah.
Now
they both become Flashes.
Wally is the original Kid Flash.
Yep.
Wallace is the new 52
Kid
Flash. When they reintroduced Wally West, Wallace was not advertised as a completely different character as Wally. Wallace was supposed to be Wally. Mm-hmm. And people were not a fan of that. They didn't like it. Mm. And there's some controversy with that. I'm not really going to get into it. I'm just going to explain to you they are two different characters now, but that is not how it always was.
Right.
Ever since Rebirth, they have been two different characters.
Okay.
So, she introduces Wally to Barry and says like, "Oh, Wally's the leader or the founder and chairman of the Flash fan club
in his high school or whatever."
Yeah. And Barry says like, "Oh, I'm friends with the Flash," and Wally's like, "That's fucking awesome."
Yeah, and they go into his lab.
Yeah, and it's cool because we get a nice little ending speech of like, there was a storm the night that my mom and I read comics in the attic, and those were one of my happiest memories. But since then, I've always worried about the storm that was coming. Meeting Wally just now made me realize that the storm that brought the lightning that changed my life forever, and for, he essentially says like the lightning that changed my life forever is what made me the man that I am today.
Yeah.
And it made me the fastest man alive.
And then the last panel is the outside window of his lab and a lightning bolt heading directly at the window.
Yeah.
And implying that Wally's about to become Kid Flash.
Well, you get one more page reveal. It's like a full double page splash of all the Flashes.
Yeah.
And I know you looked at this and you went, "Who the fuck are these characters?"
I picked out Wally. That's
Yeah.
the only one I picked out.
You get Barry, Wally, Wallace. You get Impulse, Jay Garrick.
Oh, okay, Jay. You can't miss the fucking hat with Jay Garrick.
You get Max Mercury, who is not. He wasn't a Flash character. He was a magic-based character who had a genie that gave him super speed, and then he became a speed character. Yeah, you get Jesse Quick. I'm trying to name all these characters, and I can't. But yeah, no, that's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, it's not a bad read. Like, it's not awful. It's not unreadable.
Yeah.
It's just, it's quick and unnecessarily complicated for no reason.
I agree.
I've said a million times already this recording, it is, they should not have had that time loop and everything for an origin story. It just makes it unnecessarily complicated.
I would have much rather them have the multiverse, you know, him meeting Jay Garrick than
for a single issue, and that be the only fucking time travel multiverse stuff. I could have lived with that. I wouldn't have been necessarily a fan of that, but I could have lived with that more than this whole time loop, two turtles. It's just unnecessarily complicated.
It just kind of rushes to the, you know, without, you know, the punch, you know, no pun intended. It just kind of rushes to the finish line, you know, really quick. And I think it's really just because there aren't that many Flash origin stories. I think we have, like, maybe, besides this one, like, maybe two. We have the original one back from the 50s. And then I think we might have another one at some point between then and now.
I after reading this, I feel like I don't know much more about the Flash than I did going in.
Yeah.
Like, as far as the character goes. Because a lot of the stuff I already knew. Granted, that's because of exposure from other media about the Flash.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're a brand new reader, how you would know nothing about the Flash, I have no fucking idea in this day and age. But say you go into this having no idea who the Flash is. Your information and understanding of the character, I feel, would be very limited by reading this. Like, you're gonna get something, but you're not gonna get a lot.
No.
Like, from this story, as far as who the character is, you definitely would get a more understanding of his ideology, but not the character, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's definitely the weakest origin story we've read. Other than that, I don't have much to say. The art was fantastic. I did think, as far as, like, the writing goes, it was good, but, like, the plot and stuff is not as, like, the dialogue never felt clunky or, like, weird or anything like that. I thought the dialogue was good. Just the overarching story in general, the writing for that, I felt was not the greatest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, it's sad because I like Joshua Williamson as a writer.
Yeah.
I think he's written some of the stuff that I really, really like when it comes to what's going on in Image right now with G.I. Joe. He's written a lot of that stuff. He is I believe he's the current writer for Superman, and I've heard people say that that's really good.
Yeah.
I've heard people say his Flash run is amazing too. It's just
maybe the run itself is good. I just
this little portion of it.
This origin just didn't really do it justice. Because I feel like this origin story assumes that the reader has already been reading the Flash, and therefore it doesn't really need to cover a lot as far as the character goes.
No. I don't know. Who knows? I definitely will say, if you want to read the origin of the Flash, you can definitely pick it up. It's, you know, the art's really nice in it. I think it has some good moments, but I think the execution is just off.
Yeah.
I think that's really all I can say about it. I don't I don't really have anything else to say.
I would say if you are collecting the origins of the DC Justice League members, then, you know, having this would not be a detriment. It's not like it's going to be bad or anything. It's just...
Yeah, it's just the weakest one, in my opinion.
It is, which I told you and said before, I thought Wonder Woman was going to be the weakest because of how the end was, but at least the first, like, 2/3 of that book was really good.
Yeah, it was engaging.
It had me engaged. It had me interesting. This, I told you before we started recording, like, I kind of barely remember what happened throughout the story because it was so quick.
It's forgettable.
And kind of unmemorable.
Yeah.
Which I hate to say.
Yeah.
Because every time we read a book, I want it to be good. I never go in being like, man, I hope this book sucks. I want to talk shit on the podcast. No, every time I read a book, I want it to be good.
Yeah.
So it's always sad when I read a book and it's just not good. Because I don't want to say bad shit. I don't want to talk negative. I want to be positive, even though I'm a negative person usually in real life. For this, I want it to be positive because this is critiquing, in a way, other people's work. Yeah. I don't want to put them down for their creative juices.
Yeah. No, I completely understand.
You know, that. So like I hate whenever I read something, I'm like, I don't have a whole lot of positive things to say because it makes me feel bad. I don't want to talk shit.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it definitely hits harder too when it's like the first work you cover by a specific writer. And it's like, I know Joshua Williamson is a good writer. Yeah. This story itself, though, just didn't hit for me. Yeah. And so it feels bad that, like, I don't want that to be the impression that people get of, like, oh, he didn't like this story, so he doesn't like Joshua Williamson as a writer. That's not true. I love Joshua Williamson as a writer.
And like I said earlier, like, this is my first real exposure to Flash. Mm-hmm. This didn't sell me on it.
No.
I'm not like, man, I need to read more Flash. At least, like, Green Lantern. Yeah. I was like, this actually is like, not that I'm like super excited to read more Green Lantern, but it definitely piqued my interest more than this did for the Flash.
Right.
Same with even Wonder Woman. I was like, okay, like I kind of like Wonder Woman enough now to be interested in reading more. This just has me, okay.
Yeah.
It's the Flash. It doesn't have me looking forward to, or it also doesn't have me not wanting to read more Flash, but it hasn't piqued my interest at all. If we never cover another Flash story,
you wouldn't complain.
It wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing that would bother me is if we didn't cover Flashpoint, but that's because that involves
a lot of
everybody.
Yeah, that involves so much. I mean, we'll eventually cover Flashpoint, just not.
But like if
not now.
Yeah, if we never cover like another solo like Flash story, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. We will definitely cover more Flash because I do like Flash. I think he's a cool character. It's just I don't know. I think this one was just a miss for me.
Yeah, it was a miss for me too, which is sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Again, art, fantastic. Yeah.
And I will say our tastes are subjective. Like, just because we did not like it does not mean it's a bad story.
Yes.
I could be totally off base. We could be totally off base. And, people online or, in the community think this is probably the best origin story out of all the ones that we've covered so far.
And I am technically a Neanderthal when it comes to comics because I don't have a whole lot of reading under my belt and stuff. So my takes can be probably way off.
Right.
Like, so obviously anything we cover, you should, I guess, use your own judgment and your own research to decide if it's something you want to invest in, because again, like, it's money to buy comics and things like that. Yeah. So do your own research. Like if you hear a take of ours and you disagree with it fully, that's completely fine. I'm not going to hold anyone accountable for having a disagreement with me.
Yeah.
Except for maybe you. I might fight you in the driveway, but
yeah.
But overall, like, if you don't agree with us, that's fine. Me and Ethan, we're doing this for fun.
Yeah.
Like if you disagree, that's fine. If you agree, cool. Yeah. And subscribe.
Yeah. I was gonna say before we head out, we've been doing this for
a
few months now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll say it's been so much. We've been recording for a little bit longer than that. But
Yeah.
we've been actually uploading, only for 2-3 months at this point. And it's been so much fun. And we're actually starting to gain like subscribers and viewers, and we're
not much, but
like still thank you for anybody who's been listening. And I don't like saying this because it sounds so cheesy, and like I don't like putting this in a video, but if you enjoyed our content, if you've enjoyed anything that we've talked about, on previous episodes, feel free to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you feel like we've earned your subscription. And
feel free to leave comments on whether you agree or disagree. I mean, we're at that level.
Yeah,
like
we've got people following us now, so
we'll see your comment.
Yeah, we'll see your comment.
It's not like we have thousands of people commenting on the videos, so we're gonna see it. So if you disagree or agree or want to put your own take on something, feel free to comment. Like Ethan said, it does feel kind of cringe to say, but like the video, subscribe, everything like that. If you're not on YouTube, it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yep.
So if those are more your podcast platforms, go there.
It's easier for people to listen on those as well because we're not a video-based podcast.
Yes.
We're audio-based.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's a little bit more accessible to people.
I told Ethan when we first started that I didn't want to share my ugly mug to the world. So
yeah. I mean, hey, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. Like I said, pick it up if you want.
Yep.
Like, subscribe, comment, engage, helps us get out there.
Yeah.
Helps us find more people that want to just listen to two dudes talk about comics and make dumb jokes. So I think we are going to head out now.
Yeah.
So this has been Comics with Friends, the bi-weekly podcast where two best buds get together, read comics, talk about what they love about the comic, what they maybe didn't like about the comic so much, and all the plot holes, and tell some jokes along the way. Yeah. I have been Ethan, your host, joined by my best bud and co-host, Mason, and we will talk to you later.
And as the Flash has taught you, just run from your problems.
Just run from them. And remember, always read more comics.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.